Hey everyone, so today we're over at Ron's Equipment off 287 by Jackson. My goal today is really to be able to go over some implements with you, but they have a lot of other cool pieces of equipment in the yard. And so we'll look at some different skid steers made by JCB. There's a little bit of a skid steer backhoe combo, some various backhoes. Sizes of tractors we'll just go ahead and mention, from our large farm tractors down to some compact tractors that they have sitting on the lot. And so really I want to give you an appreciation for a lot of different things, like I said, especially those various implements. Gracious enough to have Ron's Equipment let us come out to the lot. They've supported CSU over the years and are constantly a supporter of our program. And so let's go ahead and walk around the lot a little bit and we'll make you familiar with a lot more pieces of equipment. So I wanted to start over here by some of these skid steers. You can see a telehandler there on the end. But the cool thing about these JCB skid steers, as compared to what you guys saw in our operating equipment video with that Bobcat, is the fact that you'll notice the doors on the sides of these. Okay, there's only one single arm instead of the classic dual arm skid steer that you guys are used to visualizing. And so we'll walk over here and we'll just open this up to show you the inside of the cab. And you guys can see again, easy access. Doesn't matter what is in front of your skid steer, whether that's a bucket full of dirt or a round bale, you can easily pick that up while all still getting in and out of the cab. These are some right here with tracks. We've got one sitting right next to us that has tires on it, and so you can see they come in both combinations. Still have your auxiliary hydraulic port sitting up front there, and so you have just as much capability as any other skid steer. Lift capacities are quite similar as well, but I think this is a great alternative for you guys to be able to look at some of these skid steers, and JCB really does have a good product out there. And so one other thing that they did that's also similar to the telehandlers, as you can see, this skid steer right here, pretty cool. When you're looking at a piece of equipment to be able to stack hay, move things around, basically they took the technology of a telehandler and also continued that into this skid steer, and essentially it's a teleskid. And so you've got this telescopic arm now on this skid steer that can reach out, again, to be able to dump a load of dirt higher, pushing a pile up, to push something into a horse trailer. We've used it even further, or maybe it's to stack hay. And so you really do have this great reach now with this skid steer that you didn't typically have. And so there's two teleskids here, one sitting on tracks, one sitting on tires, and so I think that's really cool. We'll walk back here and see this new piece of equipment that I haven't ever seen before, made by JCB, and that's this right here. Okay, look at that. That's pretty freaking cool. Okay, and so it's basically the look of a skid steer. You can see it's got a quick detach on the front of that. It's got tracks and it's got a backhoe on the back of it, and so you can dig a hole. You've got a good bit of reach there, and telescopic reach from what I can tell, and this backhoe racks side to side as well. And so you've got a good 4.5 feet that thing's able to rack left to right to be able to dig. And so really a cool piece of equipment. They're very innovative in their solutions, and something that would be great on a farmer ranch as well. And then besides that, you can see just a classic backhoe. When we talked about equipment on a farmer ranch, this is a tough thing to justify right here, though it's very useful. More in the construction world, you've got your loader and the bucket up front, backhoe sitting on the back. For majority of you guys on an equine farmer ranch, you're going to want that PTO shaft on the back with the hydraulics. Okay, but if you're doing a lot more construction, digging trenches, loading dirt, sure, this is a great piece of equipment here. And so there's just a few of the JCB products that are around. We'll see some Massey Ferguson tractors as we walk around, go from those farm down to the compact, subcompact, but let's take a dive over to our implement yard and have a look at a lot of those various implements. Okay, so we're starting our walk around in the implement yard here, and again, I love just being able to walk around this dealership here to show you so many different pieces of equipment. You can talk about them kind of in a lecture scenario all you want, but until you actually get to see them and visualize them, it doesn't come full circle. And so we've got a lot of different pieces sitting down here that we'll walk through. This right here would just be our moldboard blades. Okay, you can see these hooked to the 3-point hitch of a tractor. Now this has a set of hydraulics on it that you notice right here. That set of hydraulics is going to allow you to then change the pivot and the angle of of that moldboard blade. So which way you want your dirt to come off that blade, or perhaps you want to keep it straight. You can see a larger version of that sitting right here, okay? And so great thing to have. When you talk about driveways as well, you might also want to utilize a box blade. You'll see that box blade as kind of one step further beyond this moldboard blade. And so these, again, great piece of equipment here, all hooking up to that 3-point hitch. Different sizes for the various size of tractor that you guys might have, okay? We'll walk around to the back side and look at some of those implements here in a moment. What you see right here would be those box plates. And so you see various different sizes and widths of them, all the way to what we have here in the back, okay? And so this is also something that hooks to the back of your tractor. That's why that Massey Ferguson tractor that we went over before is gonna be so useful. You've got that 3-point hitch with that PTO shaft with that set of hydraulics. It allows for so much versatility on what you can hook up. And so this simply hooks to that 3-point hitch. It's got Scarifier or chisel teeth on it to allow you to rip up that driveway or anything you might have. And then you'll notice sides on the box blade, as well as, much like that moldboard blade, a blade on the back of it, okay? And so this is going to collect dirt from all those high spots on something like your driveway, and then distribute that to all of those low areas, while also breaking up any hard areas with those chisel teeth. You can set the height of those chisel teeth to anything you might prefer, depending on the job you're working on. And so box blade, again, one of those essential things that you're probably going to want around if you're doing a lot of pen work, driveway work, etc. And so we've talked about some moldboard blades. You've seen some box blades that you sit here. Now we're starting to get into some bush hogs, okay? And so these would be our rotary mowers, okay? So we talked about those specific to haymaking, from a sickle bar mower and a disc mower. This is that rotary mower, okay? And so this is a batwing version, a smaller batwing version made by Woods. And then you're going to see some other ones that, again, a little bit narrower in width. And so when you look at this, just to show you how that rotary bush hog is working, you can see this hooks to the drawbar, in this case right here. And so hooking onto the drawbar and then hooking up to the PTO shaft, that PTO shaft now is going back and distributing across 3 different rotary decks, okay? And so you can see one going to the center right here, and then as these wings will fold down, when you actually have this working out in the field, you've got 2 others. And so let's look at how that connects. And so this would be the gearbox sitting right here, okay, fluid in there. You've got a gearbox sitting right there, okay? You look to the other side of that and you can see what that connects to, and that is this big rotary blade, okay? And so this rotates all the way around based on that PTO shaft running at 540 RPMs through your field, okay? Now, this has, again, 3 gearboxes on top, each driving these. These blades can easily be removed and sharpened. Again, a good thing to do in the off season, in the winter. You've got tires sitting on the back, and your set of hydraulics, you've got 2 sets of hydraulics on this. One set of hydraulics on this is folding the wings up. The other set of hydraulics is raising and lowering that entire deck so that you can change the height to which you are mowing. Notice good chain guards all the way around should you catch any debris. One thing I did want to show you, we'll go ahead and lift this up, and that's in terms of maintenance, a slip clutch, okay? And it is really important that you guys maintain all this equipment. Like I said, it's great to winterize things, but every once in a while it's a good idea to loosen up the slip clutch that you'll find underneath this guard right here, and make sure that it is actually spinning. And so here you can see 3 different slip clutches, okay? That's what this is right here, here, and here, okay? These are designed within that drive line so that if you land on top of a rock, or maybe you've got a big piece of timber or something else you couldn't see underneath that bush hog, and it all of a sudden binds up one of these rotary blades, rather than break the universal joints inside your PTO shaft, this is designed to actually slip, okay? That's what a slip clutch does. But every so often, if you want, these can seize up a little bit over time, and so you can loosen these bolts, go ahead and turn your PTO shaft on, let it slip, and then tighten them back up and make sure that slip clutch is actually working and doing its job. And so again, great things to notice about this rotary mower. I really do like Woods. Woods makes great bush hogs that are out there, and rotary mowers. Lots of different brands that are on the market, and we'll go through and look at some of these right here that again are simply going to hook to the 3-point hitch. And so this one I told you that we just looked at, raised and lowered with hydraulics. These are raising and lowering with the lift arms on the side of your 3-point hitch. And so now that I got that cover back on, let's walk around here and look at some of these. And so you can see some different widths of these rotary mowers. Now these are just a single blade underneath them, so you can see one PTO shaft straight back to the gearbox, and then you're going to have, again, two individual blades that are swinging, like here and here, okay? But we just have a little bit narrower in a working width to this, okay? Oftentimes we want this to at least match the width of the tractor itself and those tires, but great for doing small paddocks, alleyways, anything like that. I always had a big batwing bush hog for doing things like those large pastures, you know, that 30, 40, 50 acre pasture. I'm a lot more efficient with the tractor and a big old batwing bush hog, but really, again, you need something that's also a bit smaller that you can get into those tighter spots, and these bush hogs do just that, okay? And so with that, again, you can see they've got simply a rigid tire on the back of these, and so this is just a fiber tire, okay? There's no air in this, so it's very easy maintenance on this as compared to what you guys saw up here. These obviously are filled with air and a little bit more maintenance in that regard. And so a number of different size bush hogs depending on what needs to fit you and your farm or ranch, okay? Walk around. Again, I love seeing various things on the implement yard. We talked about sprayers a little bit. This is a sprayer that also hooks to that 3-point hitch. You can see where it hooks to the side arms and that center link, and you can see boom arms that will simply fold out. We've got ourselves a steeder over here. We've got our chain harrow sitting right here. And when we talk about installing fences, you have to figure out how you're going to install those fence posts, okay? Many times we're drilling those fence posts. Two ways of doing that, okay? What you see right here are augers that are going to go onto your 3-point hitch and hook to the PTO shaft, okay? On these, the center link doesn't actually hook up to them. You remove that entire center link, and then this hooks into that area of the tractor, okay? But great way to be able to install posts. I have become much more apt to use this right here, and this is an auger that goes onto the front of a skid steer, okay? And this hooks up to your auxiliary hydraulic ports on the front of that. It's a lot easier to adjust left to right with that skid steer, and you have a lot more down pressure with that attachment than you do some of these 3-point ones, okay? So all kinds of different 3-point augers. Got a tiny little manure spreader that we see here, and again, these can come in all different sizes. This is a pretty small one that we have on site here. This is just a friction based one, and so there's no PTO shaft. This can hook up to a UTV or an ATV, but you can see the concept is the same in terms of this slick material inside the deck, angle iron, chain drive. It would be the exact same kind of function with that PTO shaft and a much larger spreader, okay? Great thing to have around. We've got a wood chipper here, and so this is something that can easily hook to 3-point as well. This has a PTO shaft on it, and so you can see PTO shaft. Great thing if you've got a lot of down limbs on your property that you can go through and chip anything up, clean up your surrounding areas, and be able to utilize that. And so there's so many implements. Hopefully you get the idea of how versatile that single piece of equipment, that tractor, can be because of all these different things that you can attach to it. Over here we have a post driver, okay? So this can hook to the front of a skid steer, okay? Hydraulics, and again, we can pound in any type of wood or steel posts that you see right here. Cool piece of equipment, okay? We've got another big sprayer sitting here, and then this would be a snowblower, okay? So this is a 3-point mounted snowblower. You can see where the 3-point hitch, the side arms, and that center link connect, as well as that PTO shaft. You can then control the angle of this chute with, again, this arm right here. Tell it where you want your snow to go, and again, you can see the rotary piece of that snowblower on the other side here. And so many pieces of equipment that exist, okay? Walking through here, again, we've got a much larger bush hog fixed deck. Again, this is 2 rotary heads on it, but again, it's all a single deck. Some finisher type mowers. We can talk about working up some ground. We've got some discs over here, some land planes, and so lots of pieces that exist. Here we've got our broadcast spreader. And so this also hooks to that 3-point hitch. Again, you keep seeing how common that is, and easily allows you to put something like fertilizer in it or a seed. We can change the rate to which we distribute that, and again, open and close this bottom portion inside here based on how much we want to apply. Okay, we've got large blades to be able to push snow around. Okay, these can attach to the front of a skid steer or to that Massey Ferguson tractor. The nice thing that we said is it's a universal mount, and so something like this could fit on the front of that skid steer or that Massey Ferguson tractor. We've got various pallet forks. Again, the nice thing about that universal mount, these pallet forks right here, they can fit your skid steer or they can fit your tractor. Okay, lots of different attachments. Okay, various buckets that exist. We've got some hay forks hiding over here in the corner. Again, you can see got this nice elevated rack for moving those large square bales. Now here we've got a bush hog that looks a little bit different, and so this is that rotary mower, but this hooks to the front of a skid steer now. Okay, and then this runs off of hydraulics, and so you can see your 2 hydraulic ports right here that hook up to the auxiliary on that skid steer. And so really cool way to be able to go in, really get in some thick brush and be able to knock that down with your skid steer. Various buckets that you see over here. Then we're going to dive in a little bit to discussion on some various tractors and sizes that might exist. We've got our large farm tractors that sit down here, and we'll get all the way down to those little tiny compact tractors, subcompacts down at the end. Okay, and so let's wander over to these right now. Okay, y'all, so we're standing next to some of these farm tractors. You can see pretty good size here, bigger than what we even looked at in the operating equipment video. You can see on this detachable bucket. Okay, this one is again a little bit different mount here. It's not your classic universal mount, but it is a detachable loader. Again, you could look in the side of any of these cabs and notice that they're all pretty similar. Okay, and so regardless of the style of tractor, I want you guys to be able to get in any of these and be able to look around. Okay, I've never been in this tractor before. You can see throttle sits over here, same as this foot pedal throttle that looks right there. Again, gear shift, we've got 6 gears on this, and then we've also got a high and a low if I was to look right through here. Okay, and so I can tell you you've already got 12 gears forward, 12 gears reverse. We've got a shuttle shift that sits right here. And so again, no matter the tractor, no matter the brand, you can get in and operate it. I can tell by looking at it here, we've got 2 sets of hydraulic ports on the back. Okay, and so very easy to be able to find your way around. This would be our PTO on and off, usually some type of yellow button. And so I want you guys to be comfortable getting in any piece of equipment and being able to get your bearings. Okay, our loader joystick, etc. We likely won't get in some of the other tractors as we make our walk down the line, but I want you to hopefully be familiar. We'll take a peek at one that is a hydrostatic transmission now, but let's go for a little further walk down and see what we can get ourselves into. Again, good sized tractor that still sits right here. And so we're stepping down in horsepower and we're stepping down in size. And so these are all cab tractors that you guys are visualizing right now all the way down the line here at Ron's. And then we get to something that is, again, not cab tractor, still gonna operate the same. And now we're getting into more of our utility tractors. Again, still a good detachable bucket. You've got a moldboard blade on this one. Let's look in this. My guess is some of these are hydrostatic. So this is a hydrostatic transmission inside here. And so if you looked at this, again, you can simply see there's no longer a clutch. And so now with it right here, you can tell this lever, we've got a left and a right brake. We can detach that and separate that. And then over here, if you look at your foot pedals, you simply have a forward and a reverse, okay? And so it's just basically a variable speed. The further you push that pedal down, the faster you go. Very easy transmission to be able to operate, okay? Now you do have a bit of a transmission select in terms of, you'll see this is in a low speed versus we could put it in the Rabbit and a higher speed, okay? Again, I've never been in this tractor, but you can pretty easily figure out how to operate it. Yellow, you find that lever, this would be PTO shaft on that, okay? We've got a 3-point hitch that exists over here. Loader that exists right here, okay? Hydraulics, we've only got 1 set of hydraulics sitting on the back, and I can tell you that based on the fact that there is only 1 lever, okay? And so a little bit smaller tractor, but something that's still very good for your farm and ranch, okay? And so this is that 1 set of hydraulic ports that you guys can see on the back, okay? And now we can walk all the way down to some smaller tractors that we have on site. It's starting to rain on us, so we'll speed up the remainder of our tour. You guys got to see a good number of implements. You can see some really compact, subcompact ones and how small some of these tractors get. We've got little tiny backhoes on some of these. Again, Massey Ferguson makes some cool tractors. This would be our smallest of our kind of subcompact tractors here. Again, quite small, little tiny loader on the front, hydrostatic transmission. You guys can see that right there, okay? And then some massive JCB loaders, okay? We'll walk down to the hay equipment and then we'll call it a day. Real quick, y'all, before we end our tour at Ron's, just want to show you a little bit about some various hay equipment. So we've got a small square baler sitting right here. We looked at these in a lecture environment. You can see the bale pickup on the front of this, hooks to our drawbar of the tractor, okay, and up to the PTO shaft. Again, pretty small footprint, but great small square. Over here we have a round baler, and so you can see a little bit different, obviously the hatch on the back of that to be able to kick those round bales out, but very easy to be able to operate something like this. We've got a couple of spring tooth harrows that I meant to point out earlier that are also sitting over here. Great for maintenance on those grounds. Got some various rakes and inverters. Again, wheel rakes, the most common wheel rakes that are out there of any rake versus a parallel bar or a rotary rake. Wheel rakes are very common, no power required. That wheel will just turn in the field. These are basically a grapple system to allow you to pick up square bales, okay? And you can use this on some small squares, hooks up to a skid steer, or you can hook up to a tractor and those front hydraulics, okay? Various bush hogs that might exist. And so there's quite a bit out here on Ron's Equipment's property. Usually I've got a disc mower laying around here, so there's a disc mower. And so we could come over here and just quickly look at a disc mower, I think, if we pick this up. And so, so this is a larger one, but you can see the knives that sit right here on this. A little bit different style than our classic small disc that has those little turtles on it. But one of those easy things that you guys can find on any equipment place. And so with that, we're gonna call it a day. I'd be remiss to tell you if you have any equipment needs, service, anything like that, Ron's Equipment is a great place to go. They work on any equipment, whether they've sold it or not, and any brand. And so I really do hope you guys are a little more familiar with some different implements that are out there. At the end of this lot, there's some various augers, endless things that we could talk about for days and days. But on any farm and ranch, you really do have to be familiar with what are your options and what do I need for my land, okay? And so with that, I hope you guys have a great day and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks.